Here's our timeline on this Monday afternoon. The Lions say they have signed veteran free agent quarterback Matt Castle. He spent the last 2 seasons in Tennessee. And according to our Josina Anderson, he'll be visiting with the New York Giants today. This is Saquon Barkley after having dinner with team officials last night, a potential top draft pick later this month. 5 teams are working out today. That's because they have new head coaches, so they're allowed to do so. We'll check in with Indy and New York and talk Raiders coming up, while the Titans and Lions are also back to business. We're glad to have you along. Hope you had a good weekend. Wendy Nix, Phil Yates, Josina Anderson, and Teddy Bruschi. The Colts, as I mentioned, among those teams who are allowed to work out today because they have a new head coach. Quarterback Andrew Luck is there. He is ready finally with an update on that famous shoulder of his. We will go live to Andrew Luck when he speaks. But right now, it's also been an interesting offseason for one of the bigger stars in New York.
I'm tired of answering questions about Odell's behavior and what the latest incident is.
That's a big part of my responsibility, eliminating those distractions.
They either have to pay him or they have to move on from him.
He knows what we expect of him, and now it's up to him.
You want him on your football team?
He's an outstanding football player.
You don't quit on talent.
He's a tremendous athlete. He's a great player.
He's on the team.
He's on our team right now.
He's on the team right now.
I think when you're 3-13, nobody is untouchable.
They are referring, of course, to one Odell Beckham Jr. And despite talk about a holdout or all those potential trades, the wide receiver is in attendance for the start of the team's offseason workout program today. Head coach Pat Shurmur confirmed that Beckham was working along his teammates, despite the fact that this program is voluntary per the collective bargaining agreement. The Giants happy to have him in the house.
I'm not worried about it. I really believe that Odell's a professional. He wants to be great. And, he understands the importance of the offseason, and, he's a competitive guy, and I'm glad he's here today. I'm not overthinking this. This was the first day of work. This is the first opportunity for all of us to be here together, and, I think it's important that Odell is here, and I'm looking forward to him getting one day better by being here. And I'm looking forward to him inspiring some of his teammates to get better because he's here, and he's a terrific player.
Well, if there is a peace offering of sorts, you have to assume this is one. But it is also Monday, so we continue with Overreaction Monday. That's what we do. Here's what I'll say. Odell Beckham will lead the league in receiving yards, and this doesn't matter where he plays. But is that an overreaction, Field, or not an overreaction?
Not an overreaction, because we have seen transcendent seasons from Odell Beckham Jr. before. And before you say, well, the offensive line isn't very good, or Eli has been struggling over the past couple of seasons, JoJo can tell you a thing or two about that, or other mitigating factors against Odell Beckham Jr.'s case. I'd tell you this. Did you watch him in previous seasons when he was fully healthy, when the offensive line still wasn't very good, and that same quarterback, Eli Manning, was throwing him the football? This is a player who can take the 5-yard slant and turn it into the 55-yard touchdown. Chunking up 100-yard games is very much within the realm of Odell Beckham Jr.'s possibilities. Not an overreaction to me, especially now that he should be fully healthy.
Josina, do you agree?
It's almost like a push for me. It's an overreaction from the standpoint, I don't know who his quarterback is going to be. And I don't think it's an overreaction from the standpoint of he has the ability to definitely lead the league in wide receiving yards when it is just on him and he has a quarterback that's going to get him the ball. We don't know if that's going to be Eli Manning. Is it going to be somebody that they're going to draft? Even when it was Eli Manning, he had problems getting the ball downfield because there's still pieces to be filled along the offensive line. So without those things being settled, I don't know. But purely on his talent, absolutely.
Yeah, with a new head coach, a new offensive system, Eli Manning sort of rejuvenated now, I'd say it's not an overreaction. I just don't doubt this player. I don't doubt Odell Beckham Jr. on what he can do. Field talked about everything that he can do. So this is an explosive athlete, and the only thing that can really stop him is an injury. I mean, I think mentally, I think he'll be in a better place this year. He's getting a fresh start with the new GM, with the new head coach. Like I said, this guy wants to show out. He wants to go out there and have those big, entertaining, explosive 100-plus yard gains for everyone to see. He's one of the faces of the National Football League, in my opinion, so it's not an overreaction. I just don't doubt, like I said, I don't doubt the ability of this player.
And I think it's an important distinction to be made, and we've made it before, but you can underscore the point that no one's ever disputed his work ethic or what he brings once he's inside the building. There have been no issues. He gets along with his teammates. He participates in meetings. Obviously, Obviously, there's some things that happen when he's away from the field. But inside that building, Odell Beckham is reported to toe the line, you know.
And that's going to be part of the evaluation that this new regime of GM Dave Gettleman and head coach Pat Shurmur are evaluating currently. But I would say this. I don't know that we can say that, just showing up to the first day of the offseason program pushes this progressively forward. But it can't hurt. If Odell Beckham Jr.,
that's right.
He wants a new contract. There's no mystery surrounding it. Being here at a voluntary activity, even though it's voluntary, I think is a smart step by him. It does not hurt the case whatsoever to strengthen his cause that he wants a new deal and he deserves it.
That's a euphemism to say, oh, it doesn't hurt. To me, this is even beyond that. Mandatory camp is not until June. He is here in April, does not have to do that at all. This is when you look at where things were just a couple of weeks ago, to me, this is a big step of a showing of faith and making a good gesture of goodwill. So for him to do that, especially where things were, I think it's even more than just saying it doesn't hurt.
It shows commitment. It shows commitment on the part of Odell Beckham Jr., but I've got to think there are some types of conversations going on behind closed doors. I mean, if Dave Gettleman got him in there by talking to his representation and saying, let me just give you a hypothetical conversation like this, okay? We want to make you the highest paid wide receiver. You're our best player. We know that. We want you here, but we can't begin to talk about making you the highest paid wide receiver if you're not here. You're not showing us that you're part of the greater good. Get yourself here. Let's start there. Then we'll talk, because new GM Gettleman also wants to show, he has standards. He has regulations. He has rules. He's talked about them to where he doesn't want to show the other guys, if I just go out there and say publicly, I'm not even going to go in that facility until I get paid, and then you pay him. That's a message that's sent. That's the wrong message you want. So if this is a little tit for tat, good job on both sides, Odell Beckham Jr.'s and the organization of the New York Giants.
Fair points all around.
And I just wanted to say, we really don't know how much coaxing there was or was not from the team. This could all even be on Odell Beckham's side in terms of realizing that no matter how you feel or think about the situation, even if you're just looking at this strategically, this is a good strategic move for him to, put the onus on the team, be there when you don't have to be, and then kind of counter that narrative that's just been out there with all the trade talk and everything that's been going on, and be the good soldier and be a good teammate.
Listen, there's no downside here if you ask me. This only looks good. For whatever the reason or whatever happens next, this only looks good. Jordan Renan has tweeted this. He, of course, our Giants reporter. This is Eli Manning never got too concerned about the talk of Odell Beckham Jr. being traded. They know his talent. He also did not talk to Beckham about the video that surfaced this offseason. We'll have much more on Odell Beckham Jr. and the Giants, who are at work today, but we move now to the Colts. As I mentioned before, Andrew Luck is there. This too, voluntary workouts. He will speak shortly about his condition and the long road back. Luck's style invites contact on its own. We know that over the first 5 years of his career, only Cam Newton and Russell Wilson were hit more often than was Andrew Luck. That's running plays, sacks, and times hit while throwing. The line shares some blame. That's fair. Last year, without Luck, Colts quarterbacks took more sacks than any other team. Indy QBs were also pressured more than any other team's quarterbacks. And so with that, I say on this Overreaction Monday, the Colts will miss the playoffs. With or without Andrew Luck. Is that fair? Teddy, is that an overreaction in your opinion?
That the Colts will miss the playoffs.
With or without their quarterback?
That's not an overreaction, okay? Andrew Luck, I know they absolutely need Andrew Luck, and he's the one that drives the offense and all of that. This is something that there's so much involved, though, with this quarterback. There's an injury situation. Do you change the way he plays the game? It's almost like a mental block, not a mental block, but a state that he has to change. He can't be the tough guy anymore that wants to fight for extra yards. So putting on all of that, an offensive line. Can they protect him? There's so much going on right here for Andrew Luck that they desperately need him.
I don't think it's an overreaction at all. When you look at the time away that he's had from the field, no matter how elite you are, whether you're Tiger Woods, whether you Kobe Bryant, whatever, it takes time for you to get back into your frame of mind and into your, the way that things work for you athletically to be able to perform at an elite level, let alone when he was on the field, he was still working out the kinks with the interceptions versus the touchdowns, things that he was working on with Pep Hamilton, the offensive coordinator after that. So, and then you look at the division, that's even getting stronger longer in his absence. So a lot of things here, regardless of whether he's with the team, without the team, whether they'll make the playoffs or not.
Right, a great point by Josina about the resurgent or the surging AFC South. So it's not an overreaction.
They're not playing in a vacuum. That's fair.
It's not just, a couple of years ago, this team was coasting to division titles because the rest of the division had no quarterback in place. But the division has gotten decidedly stronger, and I'm just telling you, look at this roster, and I know this is Overreaction Monday, but it's not hyperbole. It might be the worst in the NFL right now, and I think that's part of the process for GM Chris Ballard. That's why you make a move from pick 3 to pick 6 with the New York Jets, to pick up 3 additional second-round picks that could become 10-year starters for you. There's just not a lot of talent. They had the most offensive line combinations used in 2017. You talked about the sacks allowed last year. Other than T.Y. Hilton, who do you trust amongst those wide receivers? Ryan Grant signed a 1-year deal, but after failing a physical for Baltimore. So do you know that potentially he's going to be 100%? It's a really stripped-down roster.
Yeah, and even with the expectations of Andrew Luck going into this year, I don't even know if the playoffs, the P word is even in their mind. It's almost like the S word in terms of survive.
Yeah.
Survive and show us 16 that you're healthy, make strides September, October, November, through the course of the year, and maybe next year is the year. But so much going on with Andrew Luck that you just hope that he makes strides, positive strides from slow to great through the course of this year.
And they have a new head coach. So.
Well, and this is one of the reasons we talked about that head coaching job as being one of the most challenging of the 7 new head coaches. I mean, they have a long way to go with or to the point without Andrew Luck.
They do have the pieces in place now. I do believe from an infrastructure standpoint to build this thing up. It's headed in the right direction. It just might take a couple of years, which is it's a cold reality you have to face in the NFL.
Well, along with the Colts and the Giants, who we both mentioned are on the field today, there are 3 other teams beginning their offseason workouts. We will check in on the pressing storylines facing these franchises as they get ready for week 1 when we come back.
Can we finish what we started? Do we have it in us? Because the second we think we've given everything, we're gonna give more. Because this is our moment, and we are made for this.
Whatever you're made for, Gatorade is made to fuel it.
Shoes off, belts off.
That's why I wear Skechers slip-on shoes. They're comfortable, and they come in a variety of styles. They slip on and off easily as well.
You're Tony Romo.
Yeah.
You still gotta lose the belt. Come on.
Slip into comfort with Skechers slip-ons.
Sometimes we imagine things far worse than they truly are.
But we take a deep breath and we do our taxes with TurboTax. Now a CPA can review your return with you. Am I getting a maximum refund?
I checked it, ma'am. You're good to go.
See, nothing to be afraid of at all.
Hello?
Intuit TurboTax.
There's little rest for a single dad, and back pain made it hard to sleep and get up on time. Then I found Aleve PM.
The only one to combine a safe sleep aid plus the 12-hour pain-relieving strength of Aleve.
I'm back.
Aleve PM for a better AM.
Sometimes you have to unfollow your old dreams to chase new ones. This is for the drivers, the ones who do more than defy rules, they change them. This is for the unfollowers.
Hurry in to lease a 2018 BMW X2 xDrive 28i for $399 per month.
Every time you want the weekend to start on Thursday, a Corona gets its lime. Every time you want a New York minute to slow down. Every time you don't want a night to end. Every time all you want is this. And every time you can't think of a single thing you need, a Corona gets its lime.
Macy's Diamond Sale dazzles. Save 45 to 65% on fine jewelry with your 20% off savings pass. Get these diamond earrings for $299 and take 45 to 60% off the Effie collection. Now at Macy's.
There is a place that is full of surprises and pure joy.
Here comes the rain.
What's
that girl? Flo needs help. Take me to her. Where we go? Why aren't we taking roads? Flo.
Oh, you made it. Do you have change for $1?
This was the emergency? Yes, I was busy.
24-hour roadside assistance from America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
You know, I think you're my best friend. You don't have to say I'm your best friend. That's okay.
Can we finish what we started? Do we have it in us? Because the second we think we've given everything, we're gonna give more. Because this is our moment, and we are made for this.
Whatever you're made for, Gatorade is made to fuel it.
Shout out to the Eagles, Super Bowl champs. But I'm gonna get mine next, because I got 3 weeks on it. Off season? What's that?
Watch me.
There ain't no off season. Football don't stop. We've been out here the whole time.
You gotta use it or lose it. For real, good luck stopping me next year.
And me. And me. Thanks, I'll take that.
That's no break. Y'all boys ready to play some football?
If you want the rain, then we coming down. Watch me.
Go here. It's almost, it's just perfect for Overreaction Monday,
Yes.
if you will. I think so. How about this? The Raiders will return to the playoffs in 2018. I ask, is that an overreaction?
I believe it's an overreaction, Wendy. And I'll say this. Part of it is what they've done this offseason so far, and part of it is this division's going to be good next year. I believe the Chargers, we had this conversation on Friday, were the team that if you were to say they're one draft choice away from making a quantum leap into the AFC Super Bowl conversation. The Chargers can be really good with just a couple of extra parts involved. And I know that the Chiefs traded away Alex Smith, but I'm just telling you that's an organization that believes they are ready to compete once again in 2018. I think it's going to be tough sledding for the Oakland Raiders.
And we got the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC Championship, the Tennessee Titans making a dent in the playoffs on the AFC also. I mean, these teams coming out of nowhere. I say this is not an overreaction. Why not for the Oakland Raiders? They made some key signs in the secondary, which I think was a huge problem for them last year. They're going to get help there. Don't underestimate the value of a new voice in John Gruden, new energy with that offensive system. Him trying to clean out the culture, bring in Jordy Nelson, the players that he likes, the way that he thinks a locker room should be run. Just don't underestimate that, and I don't. Whenever certain coaches come in, new players get a new voice, they just get refreshed. Why not the Oakland Raiders to the playoffs, Josina?
Didn't we have why not Monday with you recently, or why not Tuesday? I don't remember what day it was.
Oh, Lord. I do say why not.
Wednesday?
Why not?
Maybe it was Wednesday. Was it why not Wednesday?
Alliteration.
Teddy was saying anything.
I match my not an overreaction sometimes with why not.
Okay.
So that's just
anything is possible.
But I say why not? Oakland Raiders in the playoffs. Bring it. Let's go.
Why not?
It's not an overreaction.
Listen,
gets to break the tie.
Listen, I'm feeding off all of his energy right here, and I'm with my boy Teddy. I'm sorry, I feel. Are you kidding me? Spider 2, Y banana, whatever
Spider 2,
listen, all of that energy from John Gruden. That's first of all, that's the main excitement right there. So you know he's going to bring that in. You still have pieces like Marshawn Lynch. They brought in Doug Martin, even though he had just the 400 rushing yards from the suspension last year. They're going to couple that in the backfield. Then you talked about your boy Jordy, along with Amari, even though he had some injuries last year. I was at the combine when John Gruden talked about Amari Cooper still being a big focal point of this offense. So you put that mind, that energy with that offense, coupled with the added pieces that they have on defense there. And even though the division is competitive, it is possible, which is why I can't say it is not an overreaction.
Yeah, I have major questions about that secondary. You've got an inexperienced
You're not
group.
buying it.
Yeah, I'm just not buying it. You bring back Reggie Nelson, but you've got an inexperienced secondary that amongst the veteran players, I don't see any of them as bona fide playmakers at this stage of their career. And talk about a speed-deficient linebacker group. And in today's NFL, if you don't have linebackers who can run with running backs and tight ends up the seam, you're going to have a major problem.
Well, you got to pay one, too. Khalil Mack, he's not there today?
Well, that's exactly right. Khalil Mack, first reported by the NFL Network, confirmed by ESPN, was not at workouts today. Again, a reminder, these are voluntary field. What's that mean?
Yeah, this could be so much as my vacation's a couple days longer. I'll see you Wednesday of that week, or I'll see you Thursday, something like that. So unless
or get me my money, Teddy.
Both, maybe. It could be both. But until this is a prolonged situation, I'm just not concerned about this. He can get a workout wherever he is.
Well, that is true, Teddy. It could be that he shows up tomorrow, whenever their next workout
Teddy might know.
is.
You know something.
I was going to
know
say.
anything?
Or not until June.
I'm referring to Fields here.
Right.
Or not until the start of the season.
Right. I think that, if you know what date the offseason program begins, you know when you can be back in the training facility with your head strength coach, and as with a new coach, maybe you want to make a strong first impression, but so that's the cryptic side is there is a message being sent.
Or
right,
he could be
Josina?
calling Aaron Donald right now and say, hey, listen, we're trying to get $20 million plus right now. How about both of us have a pineapple cider over there on the Pacific Beach out there?
Teddy says he's still on vacation.
For a player that regularly returns for these offseason workouts, and even though he doesn't have a workout bonus involved in his contract, it is certainly something that has your antenna up a little bit, and especially if this lingers into their next workout and other ones beyond that.
Well, and we will say this, John Gruden is an old school coach, so voluntary or not, we know what the expectations are.
I know Coach Gruden, but let's month check it.
Okay, fair enough.
It's April.
It's
April.
Okay.
Month
so when
check.
did we check? May.
April.
When did you show up?
April.
When did you show up?
I was on time.
You were on time? You were the day before.
I'm thinking it says the man who was always there.
Right.
Anyway, we digress. Still to come on NFL Live, we continue to keep an eye on Indianapolis. That's because we are waiting for Andrew Luck, who will speak for the first time since December. The Colts among those teams able to work out because they have a new head coach. Andrew Luck from Indianapolis.
And good energy here.
Last we heard you were throwing a smaller football. Have you progressed to throwing the Duke?
No, I've not picked up the Duke and started throwing it yet, and I don't want to skip steps. I'm trusting the process that I'm in right now very, very much. I'm trusting myself in this process, and when the time is right, I'll pick it up.
How much of what you're doing right now would you classify as rehabilitative, or how much of it is just technique and throwing motion, those sorts of things?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll sit here and think about it for a second. But I'm not a perfect feeling athlete right now, by any means. So there's still a focus on me to make sure that I can feel really, really good and then be unbreakable. I don't want to put myself in a situation where this happens again and I have to go through the same thing again and again. As far as a breakdown and percentage, I'm working on throwing technique and a lot, but it's hard for me to give you a number there.
Hey, Andrew, usually you're getting ready for, in the past you've been preparing for a game or for this event or whatever. What's the motivation like getting up for these early morning routines and just taking it day by day, literally, instead of looking forward to a specific game or date?
It's fun. I enjoy it. I relish it. There's a lot of new football for me to learn. This is an offense and a system that I've not played in, so that's certainly a challenge. I'm excited to get up every day and come to work because I know working has made me feel better physically, mentally, emotionally. Being around the guys is a great boost. So I think certainly in this time of year, you're always trying to improve yourself, and that's the focus. There's no game on the horizon, like you said, and that focus on yourself can be a very positive thing.
Hey, Andrew, is it tough not to want to just pick up a throw a football? I mean,
yes, it is. It is.
One stretch in October.
Yeah.
Beyond that, you haven't done anything since 16. So how do you avoid?
Yeah.
You resist not wanting.
Yeah, it is tough, and one of the things I've learned about myself is I'm quite impatient as a person, and it's gotten me into places. If looking back at the rehab that maybe I shouldn't have been in the first place, and so I don't want to repeat those maybe missteps. I cannot skip steps. I very, very strongly believe in that. Some things just take time, and I've learned that. And when I do get the urge to do something a little silly, I talk to myself and say it's not worth it right now.
In this schedule, is there a timetable on when you will throw football?
There is a timetable, but I'm not going to share it with you guys. And I'm very, very confident and very, very optimistic that I am going to be absolutely fine and come back come back better than I was. I think I'll be a better quarterback, a better teammate, a better person. I'm very confident.
Do you have a goal for that time when that's going to be kind of set in your head, maybe?
Yeah, I have a goal. And I want to go into training camp without a governor on in my mind on anything and feeling really, really good. So as far as participation in this offseason, we'll see what happens. I don't anticipate doing too much, or you guys seen me doing too much out there. But I really want to be ready for training camp without a governor on, if you will.
Andrew, have you been able to figure out what went wrong in the fall with the first?
I think a couple things, and I don't think it's a very simple answer. I think I pushed a little too hard on certain things and didn't give the requisite amount of time for certain things to happen. Your body, as I'm learning, will tell you no in certain ways, and you've got to listen to it. You can't force things to happen. And then I think I convinced myself that I could force things to happen, and I paid for it, right? And I think I felt like I was becoming a distraction. I think maybe wasn't the best guy to be around. So I've learned from that, and that's why I feel so strongly about the process and plan that I'm on now.
Andrew, you say you want to be ready come the 1st of August, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you understand fans' skepticism.
Yeah.
I mean, is that understandable until they see you?
Certainly, I understand it, and I've been a fan, and I've watched teams as a kid growing up, and didn't understand why someone wasn't out there, or where they were, or why they couldn't give me more information on it. And I know I appreciate their patience. I do appreciate the perspective that people have on situations like this. Shoot, I sit here and watch the Gordon Hayward saga, so sit in the seats of a fan. But there's a process. I believe in it. I guess there's not much more for me to say on it. As you guys know, I am fairly private by nature, and I'm not going to share much. But I think just because you don't share everything doesn't mean you're not doing things, and maybe we forget that in this 21st century. But I understand maybe the frustration, but I guess personally just ask for patience, and I know deep in my heart I am going to be okay and help this team out.
Hey, Andrew, why can you give fans some reason for why you can be so certain of that without getting? No, because progress has been my guiding light, and I've just made progress. It's all I've done here over the past couple of months, 3-4 months, and I feel it every week, every day. And if I wasn't making progress, it would freak me out, and I would have to change something, and we'd have to look at other things. But I am, and I wish I could put a sort of a fast forward button on and skip these steps, but I know that's totally unrealistic, and at the end of the day wouldn't be good. So feeling better, that's what I trust, and I trust in myself.
Andrew, for whatever went wrong,
mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're almost blaming yourself. Are you the reason? Is this your fault?
No, there are certain things that I wish I would have handled differently, and like any situation, and try to make sure that I've learned from that, and move forward. And yeah, so if it sounds like I'm saying it's my fault, I'm not going to argue with you on it, but I'm also not whipping myself across my back for anything that I've done.
What do you mean? I mean, what specifically? Do you mean like recovery time?
Yeah. I guess there is a certain amount of guilt that I've lived with not being able to play this past year, and not being out there for the team. And it sounds a little corny and a little cheesy.
That was hard for you.
Yeah, it was very difficult. I put a lot of my self-worth in being available for this team and being the best I could for this team. And that maybe is not the healthiest thing in the world to do. And when I wasn't available, and when I couldn't help the team, and when I maybe felt like I was being a bit of a distraction, that was hard for me to handle, and provided also some really good learning opportunities, and things like that are why I think I'm going to come back a better player, why I think I'm going to come back a better teammate, a better person. sort of down the list.
And when you talk about your competitive side, when you think about, you said it was tough on you not being out there last year. If you had to do this all over,
yeah.
Would you, when you originally got hurt in week?
Yeah, I'm going to stop you there because I'm not even going to go into hypotheticals about woulda, shoulda, coulda. We are where we are now, and I'm excited about that. And there's a lot of positive things going on in this building.
Sorry, mentally, you seem like you're in a different place than you were in December when we were.
Yeah, no, I think I've been able to wrap my mind around some things, sort of what I touched on just briefly, and I am very confident in myself. I trust myself to get through this with the help of some really, really good people. I'm excited about where this organization's going. Coach Frank's been awesome. Everybody's been awesome. The guys, there's really good energy. So yeah, excitement, confidence, competence. I feel like I know, I sort of have a grasp on what to do, and I don't want to get sort of pulled or yanked off that path by anything.
Andrew, how small is that football you're throwing? When I was a kid, I had a little plastic one about that size.
There you go. yeah, a
little plastic.
I don't know if it's plastic. It might be a little nicer than that, but yeah, the little ones and weighted balls, and I don't think you need to get into the minutia of the balls. We don't a ball, a little ball.
Can you explain why that's necessary? The motion is the same either way, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't think a lot of people understand why that's necessary. I'm sure.
Yeah, look, there's a process, and I've gone and skipped steps before and paid for it, and been in pain and not been able to help the team and been embarrassed, guilty, whatever. And I'm not going to do that again. And I trust very much the people that I'm working with. More importantly, I trust myself in this process. And I trust how I feel, and the progress. Again, progress is my guiding light, and if I'm making progress, I know that's what is important. And so there's a plan in place, and I'll keep trusting that because it's helping.
Last April, you were pretty confident you were going to play.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're a little bit more confident. What happened in the Netherlands and California that makes you feel more confident this time?
Yeah, I don't want to sit here and compare myself to anything that I said last year, because certainly certain situations change. But I think in that time, I've continued to build a foundation, a strong foundation that I can build up off of. Sort of went back and made sure to hit all the steps leading up to this point, and I'll continue to hit this, the next steps that are in front of me. I feel stronger. I feel more fit. I feel that in turn I think has helped me mentally, feel way more confident in myself, and not look at my shoulder and say, why are you failing me? The sort of Hemingway Old Man in the Sea when he's fishing and his arm gives out. I don't know why. So I think I have a bit more of a grasp of the situation, and there's still a bit of the journey left, and I am not going to skip any steps. I want to be out in the field with my teammates. I want to give myself the best chance I can. I want to be the best I can be. And to do that, I need to stay this course.
Throughout this rehab, whatever's going on between now and August 1st, will you be here doing all of it, or are you going to go back to California?
I'll be here through our off season schedule. Yeah.
Through extra rehab, is it Monday through Friday? Is it? Can you kind of give us a rundown? How much time you're spending?
I guess it's like a work week, Monday through Friday, and
all day.
No, not all day. I sleep and eat.
Can you shed some light on just what it's like, the process you're going through?
Yeah, it's. I have a rehab card, a training card, and a lot of the stuff would not look like rehab. There's things I should say I don't feel like a limitation from my shoulder in doing these things. I just know that my shoulder has to continue to get stronger and more conditioned and work a little better within itself. So I got my training cards, and then I do those, and we have meetings, and sleeping and eating and hanging out, feeding my soul with some good books and some good food and some good friends. Yeah.
When you say I've skipped some steps before.
Yeah.
You don't mean just 2017, do you? Does this go, I mean, 2015 season, 2016, does this go back further than maybe the surgery?
Yeah, I think so. I'd like to think I'm learning from my life. I'd like to think everybody does that in a sense. And if you look back there, I don't want to get in the woulda, shoulda, coulda, or hypotheticals. But yeah, I've learned from certainly from this point of injury on, and where, all right, if it ever happened again, this is maybe how I would handle it a little different.
The rehab process, we're all counting down to you throwing the ball, but even when you resume throwing, will you still need the rehab throughout the season?
That's a good question, but I get excited about every day I get to go out and rehab and throw a little ball or train or lift or run, because to me those are just as important as any step. And I know within this process I've have to understand that I've got to live in whatever I'm doing that day, that moment, that hour, and that looking down the road really doesn't get me anywhere. It doesn't get you anywhere unless I'm putting all my effort into that day. And that's why I keep talking about taking the requisite steps and not skipping any steps. But there'll be a process when I pick up a big football, the real football, I guess, that'll have to happen as well. As far as rehabbing through the season, I don't know. I think we could sit here and define the word rehab and everything, but that's a long way away.
And you made it clear you're not skipping steps. We're all about skipping steps. We want to go to the end.
Why?
Okay, so you're confident you're going to be ready August 1st, but for the season, this isn't like riding a bike, is it? You've not played for a year. Will there be some?
That's a ways away, but I assume I'll take my lumps, like with anything. And that's a ways away. I'll get excited about that one when we get a little closer, and I've hit my steps.
Thanks, guys.
I wouldn't say changing my throwing motion. There are things in my throwing motion that I can do better from the ground up, and that's a big part of what I've been working on, is making sure I'm using my body as efficiently as possible to throw the football, and not over or undercompensate in any way. Yeah, I appreciate it, y'all. See you.
That was Colts quarterback Andrew Luck, who's in the building as the team begins off-season workouts. And he's speaking for the first time, really publicly anyway, since December. Really interesting, I think, Teddy. There were more than a few references to my part in this, skipping steps.
Right.
Doing it the right way after learning from what I did. You can read between the lines, and clearly, perhaps he feels like he rushed things the first time around.
I think he learned about the rehabilitation process, because a lot of times, professional football players think you're invincible. And with this particular injury, as serious as it was, if you decide to skip a step here or skip a step there, and it's possible you have a major setback. I'm not saying that's what happened, but Andrew looked like he was referencing that I'm not going to use trust the process, but skipping steps in your rehabilitation process, you can't go from here to there sometimes, no matter what it may be, a knee, a shoulder, a neck injury, whatever it may be. And it seems like Andrew talked about how badly he wanted to be with his teammates. Maybe it was that that feeling of guilt. He said the word guilt of not being there, that it affected him to where he tried to rush himself back.
Listen, we talk often about protecting athletes from themselves, and this is exactly what we're talking about, because make no mistake about it, the motives are pure. I mean, the reason he rushed, perhaps, the reason he wanted to skip steps is because he wanted nothing more than to be out there field and to be playing and be healthy. Unfortunately, your body sometimes has a different timeline, and you have to listen to that.
No question about it. And it feels as though last year has caused Andrew Luck to engage in serious reflection and introspection this offseason. Think about where the process went awry. There's only so much that your body can control itself. At some point, it is a process that is outside of your own control. So it feels as though even if it takes longer than anybody in Indianapolis or who supports the Colts wants it to take, Andrew Luck is going to go through that process so that he does not go from 0 to 70% and then back on the football field, 0 to 100%. He needs to be all the way back, Tracina, before we see him on the football field.
Yeah, and I think what stands out too when you're talking about the rehabilitation process is not just physical, but it is also emotional. So I think it is appropriate to derive that he did some things that probably contributed to his regression by wanting to get out there. But I also thought it was interesting when he said that I was also not the best guy to be around. So in realizing that, it sounds like I'm deriving this, that he maybe was grumpy, was not in the best mood, maybe that had an impact on him and his teammates. He mentioned learning some things from his wife and that when he's going to come back, he's going to be a better quarterback, better teammate, better person, and what have you. But I think the other point to take here is not just what you learn by going through the rehabilitation process, but it's also what you're supposed to learn when you're coming out of it, because you can also rush in coming out of it as well. And he's got to be patient. He said that one of the things I've learned from this process, Teddy, is being more patient. Well, he's got to be patient in coming out of it as well so that he doesn't mess it up in that process too.
You're right, Josina. What makes you rush the process? Frustration. Frustration. So him not being patient, him being frustrated. He's talked about now following his rehabilitation cards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just, where's my card today? So I don't have to go out there and control me, please. Please control me. Okay, here's your card, Andrew. Follow this to the letter today. This is what you have to do. He talked about that too. This is a young man that wants to play football badly. I understand this, but you got to trust. You got to trust
the Rosetta Stone card for rehabilitation.
Yes. Trust your card. Trust your card, Andrew.
You know, so often, and this is true for any of us, but certainly with athletes, your greatest strength is your greatest weakness as well. And that motivation and that competitive spirit, I mean, it can get you in trouble, even though it's what drives you and has allowed you to be so successful. So it's hard. And we got to hear a reference to Old Man in the Sea, which I didn't see coming. I got to tell you, I didn't have that on the Jeopardy card. Anyway, will be the top quarterback in the league open for debate, but the top fantasy quarterback last year is not. That was Russell Wilson, and it wasn't close. 347 points thanks to 34 passing touchdowns, 3 more on the ground. Cam Newton coming in second, 6 rushing TDs, 700 rush yards, boosting his value. The second time in the last 3 seasons, Newton finished in the top 2 in fantasy scoring among quarterbacks. Newton finished just ahead of the third-ranked signal caller. That's New England's Tom Brady. Not so much about Brady's 28 rush yards as it was his 32 touchdowns, over 4,500 pass yards he's amassed in his league MVP season. Alex Smith, number 4, a fraction of a point behind Tom Brady. He posted his first career 4,000-yard season and was rewarded with a trade and a big new deal with the Washington Redskins. And finally, one of the more interesting fantasy questions comes with quarterback number 5. You can see why. Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz posted over 281 fantasy points last year, despite missing the last 3 games of the season due to injury. Rounding out the top 10, former Redskins quarterback Kirk Cousins. You'll find him now in Minnesota. He's joined by new NFC North rival Matthew Stafford, Chargers quarterback Phillip Rivers, Saints QB Drew Brees, and finally Pittsburgh's Ben Roethlisberger. All pretty good company, both on the field and when it comes to fantasy football. Our fantasy expert Field Yates is here, and we like to rank things. And so why not?
This is not the early. This is not the sort of. This is like ridiculously way too early top 10 quarterback rank.
Well, you said it was time.
It's never not time.
It's never not time.
So it still can be super early. So let's just go.
So this is top 10 fantasy quarterbacks for the upcoming season, in your opinion.
That's right. And we'll start at 1, believe it or not, with Aaron Rodgers, who over the past 5 seasons, amongst quarterbacks with at least 10 starts, leads all players with 20.9 fantasy points per game from the quarterback position. He's healthy, and they have lost some weapons this offseason, but this offense is still going to be ridiculously
It's still
good.
Aaron Rodgers. It's just easy enough.
Rodgers. Tom Brady, number 2 here. 250 or more fantasy points in 9 straight seasons. He is incredibly consistent.
The model of consistency.
The model of consistency. I don't care if he's 51 years old. Tom Brady is still going to be a major factor.
He might still be playing.
He could at this rate, as a matter of fact. Number 3, let's scroll down and find our buddy, Russell Wilson, alphabetical order. At least 500 rushing yards in 4 of the past 5 seasons. He's got 34 passing touchdowns in 2 of his past 3 years. Can get it done with his arms and his legs. Same goes for a guy in Cam Newton, who, as you alluded to, Wendy, He had 111 fantasy points last year just with his legs. So just with his legs alone, he was already a bona fide threat every single week. You had the passing yards, of course, makes him an even bigger threat.
You got to go Big Ben here, no?
Believe it or not, I'm going to go for some youngsters here. Number 5, Deshaun Watson, who, of course,
all right,
we are
so now
trusting
we're
that he'll
moving
be healthy.
Yeah, exactly, because it was electric when we saw him, but then we lost him.
27.2 fantasy points per game in the games that he started last year. Now, again, obviously, it was a short season and a small sample size for Deshaun Watson, but as a runner and as a thrower, he has obvious value. And the crazy part is, provided he's healthy, it's reasonable to expect he could be a superior overall player next season, given that he's had a full off season to learn the playbook and knows his teammates even better.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the more intriguing situations to watch, fantasy or otherwise.
Absolutely.
Just, because it was dynamite, but it was a small sample.
And they need him. They got no first-round pick, no second-round pick this year.
He's the quarterback
For the Houston Texans. Carson Wentz.
Another guy coming back from injury.
Probably would be a little bit higher. The only reason why I'm a little bit lower here is the possibility that he might need to miss a game or two at the beginning of the season because of that ACL recovery. We know he's confident he can be ready for week 1. This is just the slightest of hedges here for Carson Wentz, but he averaged over 20 fantasy points per game last season. He was remarkable, and as we know, with so many other quarterbacks on this list, it's not just the arm, it's also the legs that can help.
I feel like if he misses a game or two, there's probably a quarterback there that can step in. I don't know. I feel like it's okay.
Nick Foles reference right there. I finally picked up on it. Andrew Luck comes in at number 7. We just talked about patience being the word this offseason in Indianapolis, but let's imagine he does play 16 games, fantasy games, Wendy. It doesn't matter who the offensive line is, who the wide receivers are. He has had massive years in previous seasons. Did not miss a game in each of his first 3 years. 19-plus fantasy points per game when he has been healthy. This offense looks so much different without him, but I do have faith that if he plays 16 games this season, he will be a quarterback that you can trust every single week as your weekly starter.
He's got to follow his cards, he said, his rehab cards.
Follow that card. Follow the fantasy cards. Follow the rankings here. How about Dak Prescott? We're going to put this the faith in Zeke category because when Zeke Elliott plays, it's clear Dak Prescott and this entire offense is entirely different. In the games that he's had Zeke Elliott on the field, 19 fantasy points per game. He struggled last year in those 6 games that Zeke missed due to suspension, but he's back for the full 16-game slate. The offensive line should be healthy at the beginning of the year because last year the health seemed to really catch up.
Another situation that will be interesting because this, we were great. We had trouble. We missed Zeke.
A lot of options. Yep.
Where do we fall?
Well, I think 8 is a pretty comfortable spot for him. It's crazy to think that Drew Brees could be number 9. But there were times last year where you're wondering, do I even start Drew Brees? Because the rushing offense was so good that Drew Brees didn't have to throw for 5,000 yards in a season, but he has thrown for at least 4,000 in 12 straight years. No one's ever done it for more than 7 straight. He's got 12 straight 4,000-yard passing seasons, and this offense might add Cameron Merritt. If they just signed him to an offer sheet on Friday, they have until Wednesday. Does Chicago to match or decline that offer? Plenty of weapons, outstanding offensive line, and it's Drew Brees. He is incredible. He's like Tom Brady. He defies Father Time.
He might be 51, too.
That's right.
It's what happens.
Finally, nobody bets against Jimmy G right now. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's been red hot. He hasn't lost a game since he became the starter for San Francisco. The touchdown to interception ratio wasn't that great last year when he took over as a starter. I don't care. He's going to be a monster in this year, in this offense. Remember Matt Ryan in year 2 with Kyle Shanahan as offensive coordinator? Yeah, NFL MVP. I'm not going that far for Jimmy Garoppolo, but I do think he's going to wind up as a weekly starter for fantasy football purposes.
Listen, here's it. You said it was early, ridiculously early. I think you said, well, that's good because there's some big names still on this board.
Yeah, there sure are.
I think we got to work this out.
Well, there are people who are wondering about these 3 guys.
See, that's a tease.
Depth is a good thing to have. So draft 2 of them.
Okay, there, and it's only April, so we got time. Coming up on NFL Live with Andrew Luck preparing for his return. We've heard from him now. We will look back at how he found success in the league to begin with and what he must do now to avoid trouble. Colts offense, a prime example. Indy scored 24 offensive touchdowns last year. That's 2 fewer than any other team in the league. Look at the company they're keeping. That's the 0-16 Browns, a 3-13 Giants team that clean house, and a Bears team with a rookie quarterback. So as we look at the timeline for Andrew Luck in 2012, he was drafted 1st overall out of Stanford. That was by the Indianapolis Colts, of course. Then he was off to the races in 2012. He breaks a rookie season passing record, 347 passing yards, and the team finished 11-5. And there it is. Teddy, he was recognized as a can't-miss prospect, and really that's been the case
since John Elway, right? all of the quarterbacks that have come out, they were comparing him to Elway coming out of college because of how special he was.
No
the
question.
whole package.
No, the total and complete package.
Yes.
Then there was 2013, and this is when that playoff run began. He led the Colts back from a 28-point deficit in the AFC wildcard game, the first career playoff win. Also recovered a fumble for a touchdown, and then threw a late game winner to T.Y. Hilton. And you started to see signs of what could come in Indianapolis. In 2014, he led the NFL in passing touchdowns, 40 passing TDs. Colts were 11-5. Again, this is the year they lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. And then 2017, the injury bug bit. Andrew Luck undergoes shoulder surgery. He was placed on injured reserve. He missed the entirety of the 2017 season, despite some early signs that recovery was going well. Now, of course, everyone saying seeing is believing when it comes to Andrew Luck. Here's the quarterback.
I wouldn't say changing my throwing motion. There are things in my throwing motion that I can do better from the ground up, and that's a big part of what I've been working on, is making sure I'm using my body as efficiently as possible to throw the football and not over or undercompensate in any way.
So interesting words from Andrew Luck as we say hello from the Verizon film room. Colts GM Chris Ballard also sat down with our Adam Schefter on his podcast and gave some insight there as well into Luck's rehab process. Here's the GM.
He's currently still working on the throw motion stuff that he's working at, really tying his lower body into his upper body. I think when you watch tape of him in the past, he played with a big wide base. And the guys he's working with right now are doing a nice job really retraining him and using his lower body to take some stress off his shoulder, which I think if we just look at the history of the league, a lot of quarterbacks have done that.
So, Teddy, he references when you look at the tape, and you have looked at the tape. So walk us through what you're seeing with Andrew Luck's throwing motion.
That's interesting when the GM and also Andrew Luck references today talking about that wide base, because when a quarterback has a wide base and then he actually has a stride after that, it's much more difficult to activate the core, to activate the lower body, the hips. So just like Ballard said, taking the stress off of the throwing shoulder. And I think Andrew referenced it too, not talking about my throwing motion, but from the ground up, because throwing the football is like a golf swing. I mean, I didn't play quarterback, but I know everything that it did, so much it takes. I mean, being around Tom Brady and seeing the footwork, activating the hips, the core he would talk about, everything goes into throwing this football. When you forget about your lower half, then you're only just trusting on your shoulder and your arm. And maybe that's the problem that Andrew had. So what did the GM Chris Ballard saying? Teaching him to narrow that base just a little bit, activate that lower body, maybe that right hip, that core, takes a little stress off of that shoulder. That could help him survive a season.
And it's also just a recalibration mentally, because I think part of him overusing the arm represents his overconfidence in his arm, because he's been able to just rely on it all the way from high school and through college. So now you have to recalibrate mentally, not just to rely on it so much because you're confident in it, but to draw on the strength, like you're saying, from your lower body and to use that in your throwing motion as well.
We talk about we use the phrase, take the training wheels off a player. It's almost like the training wheels have been put back on Andrew.
Absolutely,
Luck, right?
That's a great point.
Retrain and all these things. It's the ideas are rudimentary. They're fundamental, but they're his reality right now. We talk about a player coming back from a major injury, whether it's Odell Beckham from his ankle or Julian Edelman from his ACL, and we just expect them to just kind of pick up where they left off. For Andrew Luck, the reality was he couldn't pick up where he left off. He had to go not just back to square one from a rehab standpoint. He had to relearn some of this stuff. It's a massive progression he has.
So we're talking about a quarterback, like he said in his press conference, that has to temper himself. I got to calm down and trust my rehabilitation process. Just do what's said on the card. So I got a mentality I got to fix. There's techniques that we're working on where I got to shorten my base, engage my lower body, start using my core, not depending all on my shoulder. Hopefully my offensive offensive line can trust me. All right? I can trust my offensive line, and they don't get me crushed like they did the last time I played. And also, there's a new head coach in Frank Reich and a new offensive system that I have to learn. All of this being said, all of it goes into Andrew Luck's return. This is more than the usual rehabilitation process where I just got an ACL, I got a rehab, and I know what to do to get back. This is more. This is an entire athletic build in terms of the head, the mentality, all the way down to the feet and the throwing motion where he has to get better at.
Which is why I think it's at least fair to ask the question, will he be the same player? Because, you know, this is a total recalibration, and he's phenomenal, and he's a phenomenal athlete. But, you know, some things are getting changed and tweaked along the way. But, you know, maybe he's better. Mm-hmm. You know, who knows? But there's some changes.
But he talked about really needing to be patient, and that patience is going to get tested immediately because, as we said, it's not just the rehab, it's the coming out of it. And so he said his wife has taught him things, everyone's telling him to do certain things, and all of that's
slow down, Andrew.
Slow down, and all of that's going to get tested like right now.
That's really the only thing
in the off-season conditioning program or training camp or whenever he's ready to come back.
Yeah, just do what she says. It will be okay.
Oh, honey, yes, I do, whatever.
We want to welcome an ESPN Colts reporter, Mike Wells, who was there just a little while ago at the Andrew Luck press conference, and he certainly didn't want to get into a timetable, Mike, on when he'll start throwing a real football again, but clearly there'll still be some expectations. What can you tell us?
Well, the biggest reason they don't want to put a timetable on, because if he doesn't reach that timetable and start throwing, it's going to be considered a setback, Wendy. One thing that Andrew Luck really talked about during this press conference is that he does not want to skip any type of steps in this rehab process. He admitted he was very impatient last year going through the rehab, and some of that impatience is probably one of the reasons why he eventually had to get shut down last October, because if you think about it, Andrew Luck's really only thrown a football a handful of times since week 17 of the 2016 season. So you're talking about almost 17 months that Andrew Luck has really thrown the football. So they do not want to skip any type of steps. And again, owner Jim Irsay last year put a timetable on things saying Andrew Luck was going to be ready for the start of the regular season. He clearly didn't play, so that's why Andrew Luck and the organization now is taking a very patient approach. Even though the fan base wants him out there, they're going to take their time and not skip any steps in this process.
Mike, thank you. Certainly you can understand this may be a lesson learned. We will watch and wait. Thank you. Still to come on NFL Live, we'll sit down and have a cup of Joe. Josina Anderson gives us the latest on all things Odell Beckham Jr. and the New York Giants. Look at that. Fancy.
With some cocoa.
Game series between the Brewers and Cardinals and El Central rivals at Busch Stadium, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app. Telecast presented by USAA. Despite talk about a holdout or a potential trade, Odell Beckham Jr. was at the team's offseason workout program today. The head coach confirming Beckham was working alongside his teammates, even though the program is voluntarily. He did not join his quarterback Eli Manning at his offseason workout at Duke, as he often has. And here's Eli on why.
I talked to Odell, and it was just a matter of what he's doing in his rehab to get back healthy, and it just didn't make sense for him to make that trip if he can't do all the routes and do everything. So he's got his, kind of through the Giants and what he's doing. They have their plan for his rehab, and I didn't want to get into that. So we were on the same page, talked about it, and it just didn't make sense.
Were you ever worried that he actually might be traded from your team?
I never got too concerned with it. We all know the talent that Odell has and what he brings to the football field, and look forward to playing with him this year and for years to come.
Odell Beckham Jr., one of 2 players in NFL history with over 4,000 receiving yards in his first 3 seasons. The other, Randy Moss. He'll be collecting a Hall of Fame jacket this summer. Beckham, the only player ever with 90 receptions and 10 touchdowns in each of his first 3 seasons, which brings us to Cup of Joe. Got a lot of brownies here, not just a little bit.
Yeah, this is like plate of brownies segment.
It's plate of brownies. Let me ask you about Odell. I know you spoke with him, and I think a lot of folks were pleasantly surprised that he was at the team's workout today, even though it's voluntary. What did he say?
Well, yeah, I talked to him, and he said the purpose today was to check in, work out, meet with some folks, and this was always his preference to want to do this. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to notice that the temperature, however, did raise the last couple of weeks with things that were said in the media by the owner and also the coach that contributed to the situation being unsettled. But nevertheless, Odell has always talked to me about how much he's looked forward to playing with Pat Shermer, how much he could open this offense. We know that Odell had had 3 straight seasons of 1,300-plus yards, but the offense got predictable. Under McAdoo, this is the team that led the league in how many times they use 11 personnel. So he wants to not just be utilized to some of his potential, but to his max potential, which is something that cannot take place here, too. And then the other thing that he underlined is just how much he's been working out, 6 to 7 times a week, 7 to 8 hours a day. This is somebody who really loves football, wants to be passionate about it, and remind everybody what he did on the field when he was not hurt.
We are also looking toward the draft, and the Giants perhaps having some interest in Saquon Barkley. Who wouldn't? Not saying they'll go that route, but they're at least kicking the tires, if you will.
Absolutely. Saquon Barkley met with the Giants last night, had some dinner. Hopefully they went to Ruth's Chris or something like that and had steak, which we're not having right here. And then they plan to continue that visit today, Wendy.
All right, tell me about Ndamukong Suh. Obviously, he was rolled out last week in L.A., a big free agent signing, although for a year. How do the Rams plan to incorporate him in that defense?
Well, this is a great asset that they're adding along that defensive line with the Rams, and I'm told that the initial use of him will be to come in at tackle, but they obviously have a lot of great talent on that defensive line with Aaron Donald at the 3 technique and Michael Brockers at the 5. But because of that, I'm also told that this will be a fluid situation. When Suh came in for his visit, they showed him how those pieces along the defensive line are interchangeable and how it's a different ball of wax depending on what sub packages they're doing, what they're doing on third down. So he could be used differently week to week to week. So even though we saw the reports about him being used at nose, it was underlined to me that he could be used in various different positions to contribute to this defense as well.
There are so many people who are curious about what Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh can do when they play together. And to that end, I'll send it down to my friends, Teddy and Field. More Overreaction Monday. And I'll say this, fellas, Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald will each have 10 sacks next season. Is that an overreaction or not an overreaction?
See our faces?
Ooh, I was going to say, Wendy, you got to know the answer already before you even ask the question. The answer is it's an overreaction, Teddy. The last time it happened, 2 defensive tackles from the same team having at least 10 sacks in the same season, 1992, the Houston Oilers, Lee Williams and Ray Childress accomplished the feat in that season, Teddy. But the bottom line is this: even if they don't achieve this feat, the impact of these two will be pronounced. Defensive tackles, not merely about sack production, it's a full body of work that they do. A lot of it goes beyond the numbers.
So you're saying it's possible, though?
I'm not.
It's been done before. It's been done before.
It's been done before. So is it an overreaction or not?
I'm with you. It's an overreaction. It would just be incredible if this were to happen. Aaron Donald had 11 sacks last year, and he's Defensive Player of the Year at 11. For him to have 10 plus, and Ndamukong Suh also to have 10 plus, that would be off the charts, in my opinion. So that's something from the interior defensive tackle, defensive line position. I know there are a lot of sub packages, and the NFL's mostly sub, and they'll have their situations to rush the passer, but that kind of productivity hasn't been seen in a long time. Like you mentioned, I just think that's an overreaction.
Other NFC West teams may not have a choice but to draft guards throughout the entirety of the 2018 NFL draft, though. That much we can probably count on. Wendy, back to you.
Well done, fellas. Well done. Before we wrap up, good news for Matt Ryan over the weekend. ×2.
How about
so, I don't know what's
in the
going
water.
on. We'll just,
Flowery branch?
Yeah, I guess
Good luck,
so.
actually.
It is twins. Multiple sets of twins. Good luck.
No, just babies in general.
Oh, yeah.
When I was with the Patriots, and a lot of the players had a lot of babies in a small group, boom. Popped out Super Bowls along with it.
Okay, listen, I'm just going to, you would know, I'm going to leave that one alone.
I'm trying to calibrate what you just,
connection, but I got you. I got
Good
you.
omen for the Falcons.
And Atlanta hosts a Super Bowl next year. What do you know?
That's right. Well, no, we just missed out with Minnesota playing in their home stadium.
We just take it next level here on NFL. That's what we do.
Any news and notes to clean up? Josina first?
Yes, Jeremy Maclin, he is still on the free agent market. That is a veteran wide receiver who is still looking for a job. There are a couple of teams that expressed interest in him, including the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, but both of those teams have already signed wide receivers in Allen Hurns and Mike Wallace, but I'm told there are other teams still interested. Maclin going to take his time, doesn't have any geographic limitations on where he would like to play, just wants to go to the right fit and continuing to work out in Baltimore and Philly.
Okay, so still looking for a place and also another contract update.
I was going to say, this is the time of the year where you find players in free agency that often represent value, and Jordan Matthews could be that for the New England Patriots. A one-year deal with a base salary of $790,000. He gets another $80,000 to sign the contract itself.
That does seem like a deal. I mean, that's some value there.
If he produces comparable to how he did in his first 2 seasons when he was playing with Philadelphia, it could be a major coup for the Patriots. Obviously, he's got a lot of work to do from his recovery standpoint with multiple surgeries earlier this offseason.
Right now, these receivers, either you're looking at depth or competing for a spot, because what's coming up now is the NFL draft. And all of these teams will be looking for some younger receivers to look younger, to get that speed.
Calvin
and
Ridley.
all of that.
Listen, younger, it doesn't matter because we have to go young guess, because babies mean Super Bowls.
That's
and
right.
if we learn nothing else.
That's right. That's right. I'm telling you.
Listen,
It's a
that
good
baby
sign.
was signaling contract.
And that,
hey, me.
Yeah, well, that's probably going to work out pretty well. For Teddy,
This many
Josina, and
zeros.
Field, I'm Wendy, and I think we'll be back tomorrow. You never know, but we're hoping for it. And there's my guy.
Congratulations. Touchdown, Falcons.
All right, today's opening tip. This image of Tracy McGrady sipping tea on our show Friday was all over Twitter this weekend. George, is the T-Mac meme the best meme?
It is. Who needs Kermit now? That's it, Kermit. Your days are done.